Welcome to Agent Noob everyone, and let's talk about the unique man-at-arms upgrades of the Holy Roman Empire. How much do they really affect engagements, and are they really worth the resource and time investment? In my previous Landsknechts vs man-at-arms video, many of you have asked whether those additional unique upgrades would make the man-at-arms fare better against the Landsknechts in certain engagements. Since the bugs on those technologies are now fixed, we can properly compare them now. Let's dive right in. As a quick refresher, generic, fully upgraded Castle Age man-at-arms lose to knights in a 1v1, in large equal numbers, and in equal resources as well. However, the equal resources fight is a very close one, so naturally we can assume that maces would not only win against the knights but also catch up to the Landsknechts. In a 1v1, the fully upgraded man-at-arms with the maces upgrade unsurprisingly loses to the knight, with half of the HP of the knight still remaining. Naturally, the man-at-arms also lose the 10v10, with 8 of those knights, although some badly wounded, still surviving. Alright, the moment of truth. With equal resources, which means 10 knights versus 20 man-at-arms, the man-at-arms maces crush the knights, tipping the favor heavily towards the man-at-arms, with 12 of them surviving the battle. Hence, once heavy maces is researched, the man-at-arms do slightly better against the knights compared to the Landsknechts. Apart from knights, the other popular heavy units you'll encounter on the battlefield are the very man-at-arms of your opponents. Just to spice things up, I'm going to match the Holy Roman Empire's man-at-arms with maces against the armor-clad man-at-arms of the English. Just by stats, we already know that the +2 armor of the armor-clad will be no match to the +6 attack of the maces, but how much of a difference does this make? Let's start with a 1v1. The Holy Roman Empire's man-at-arms is able to beat the English with just about 30% of its HP left. Hence, the 10 versus 10 will be more brutal against the English, with more than half of the Roman man-at-arms surviving the battle. So, the mace upgrade is no joke. If you see the Romans yielding maces, be very careful with your own heavy units. Okay, now that we know that maces make a big difference, let's drop the shield altogether and yield it with both hands. The two-handed upgrade only gives +2 attack, but it provides the damage across all unit types and not just the heavy units. Let's test the 1v1 against the English man-at-arms again. Honestly, the result kinda surprised me. The difference was just 8 HP. With maces researched and no two-handed weapons, the Holy Roman Empire man-at-arms survived the 1v1 with 51 HP. With both technologies researched, he survived with 59 HP. In a 10 versus 10, 7 man-at-arms survive, but most of whom were badly wounded. This means that the addition of two-handed weapons improves the outcome by roughly only 5% against other man-at-arms. Looking into the knights, the man-at-arms still loses the 1v1, with the knights surviving the battle with 102 HP, barely any difference before the two-handed upgrade. We do see the slight advantage in a large-scale battle though. In the equal resources fight of 20 man-at-arms versus 10 knights, 15 man-at-arms survive, though some badly wounded. In contrast, 12 man-at-arms survived before the upgrade. Hence, there is a very slight difference, but the upgrade is definitely not a priority against heavy units at all. That said, keep in mind that two-handed weapons provides +2 for the same cost of Decarbonization, which only gives +1. Granted, Decarbonization provides the +1 to all melee units and not just the man-at-arms, but if you're only fielding man-at-arms as your melee unit for the time being, you should definitely prioritize two-handed weapons over Decarbonization. By doing so, however, you're tunnel visioning your mid-game towards the man-at-arms, so be sure that that's the right choice. That said, I'd wager that picking up Decarbonization first keeps your options more open in the mid-game in terms of melee units, so pick your upgrade wisely. Finally, just for fun, let's also test the Marching Drills technology as well. Although this technology only provides movement speed, the slight boost typically helps with your units moving around more efficiently in fights and potentially improving performance. Let's see if there's any substantial difference. During the same equal resources fight, the same 15 man-at-arms survive the battle, indicating that if there's any difference at all, it's extremely marginal. Hence, the movement speed technology should be prioritized last from a purely fighting perspective. Obviously, the movement speed helps you maneuver your units to take better engagements, which isn't taken into consideration here. Okay, but what if we say that you picked up two-handed weapons first before the heavy maces upgrade due to the enemy's initial army composition, and you cannot wait or afford heavy maces just yet? Should you take an engagement against the knights? If you remember, fully upgraded generic man-at-arms barely lost to the knights in equal resources. Hence, if we repeat the same 10 knights versus 20 man-at-arms with two-handed weapons researched, we find out that the man-at-arms do win against them, with 8 of the man-at-arms surviving the battle. Obviously, this is significantly worse than the heavy maces upgrade, but it's still a great engagement to take. This means that you will win against the knights in equal resources regardless of which of the two unique technologies you choose to upgrade. However, do keep in mind that if your numbers advantage isn't as high as 2 to 1, I'd be more careful engaging with two-handed weapons than heavy maces. In short, the +2 attack from the two-handed weapons really helps you tip the favor towards you if you don't have heavy maces researched. But if you do have heavy maces researched, then its impact won't be that high. Alright, with the two main units out of the way, there's technically one more heavy unit in the game, and that's the mighty War Elephant. This beast costs a whopping 1,000 resources to train, so that means that 3 War Elephants would face against 25 man-at-arms in equal resources. Let's first try with two-handed weapons. Honestly, it's not even close. 14 man-at-arms survive the battle with two-handed weapons after a long battle to bring down the elephants. When you add heavy maces to the mix, a whopping 20 man-at-arms survive, hence the Holy Roman Empire is actually a very solid counter to Delhi's elephants. You don't even need spearmen as infantry to take extremely cost-efficient engagements against their elephants. The Delhi player must have hand cannoneers, crossbows, or tower elephants with crossbows to help out the war elephants. Otherwise, it's an awful engagement for them. To wrap things up, once you have heavy maces researched, the man-at-arms do better against heavy units compared to the Landsknechts, but not by a large margin. That said, against non-heavy melee units, such as the camel riders, the Landsknechts are the better choice. If your opponent has crossbows, try to avoid the man-at-arms and go for Landsknechts instead, and if your opponent goes archers, then vice versa. Since Age of Empires 4 is a game of counters, expect your front line to be a mix of both units, and marker them wisely against whatever type of ranged unit that comes your way. Otherwise, once your upgrades kick in, there isn't a melee unit in the game that can stand their ground against the Holy Roman Empire. Finally, remember that the man-at-arms require more time and resources to get to a decent spot. Expect to field Landsknechts in the early Castle Age as you buy some time to get your man-at-arms upgraded. Once you do get your upgrades, it then becomes a matter of which army composition makes the most sense against your opponent. Well, that pretty much covers everything you need to know about the Holy Roman Empire's infantry options. I hope these 2 videos helped you wrap your head around the dynamics of fielding your infantry as the Romans and know which engagements to take. Do let me know in the comments below if there's any other game mechanic that you'd like me to explore. Finally, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing as there's more of this content on the way. As always, thanks for watching everyone, and see you all in the next one.